Hi guys, I hope you're all well. So as well as loving all D&D and fantasy style stuff, I love knights in shining armour, castles and all that kind of stuff. Obviously because that's all real. And as you can see, I've got these lovely little figures here, a couple of knights jousting, the king up the top there and a few guards around him. And yeah, these are the kind of things that I absolutely love as well. So I was recently scrolling through some of the groups on Facebook and came across this. And as you can see, yeah, some photos of a rather lovely large castle with lots of knights. There's obviously ones on horses. There's a few here climbing up the side of the castle. Yeah, obviously the jousters there. And yeah, some wonderful figures. Obviously that's a king and loads of other knights. And yeah, absolutely loved the look of these. And then I clicked on the link to well, basically find out more about who's making these and what it's all about. And as you can see, they've got a Kickstarter page. They've reached their goal, which is amazing, but obviously there are lots of levels within the goal, so they still need more support. So guys, go and check them out and consider pledging them. Obviously the things aren't out yet, so I contacted them and just asked if I could have a few STLs of a couple of, obviously, the knights on horses jousting, a king and a couple of bodyguards, to which they replied, yes, here you go. And then they sent me the STLs, which is awesome. So then I took them across to my Anycubic Photon M3, plugged in a little USB. I am going to get a lead so I can have the USB at the front of this machine. Yeah, usual thing, push a few buttons, away it goes, and then yeah, go off, do something else, come back, and you have lovely little 3D printed miniatures, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, they come out really well. So these ones I had to do my own supports on these. I say because obviously this is quite a new Kickstarter. They will come with supports. But the ones I did, obviously I had to do my own. So apologies if there aren't any sort of mistakes and bits that aren't 3D printed properly. That is all down to me. Because obviously I'm not that good at making my own supports. But they come out pretty good. So yeah, so I'm making a little diorama for these. So nothing major on this one. I just wanted a little set that I could have them in. Obviously the figures are going to be jousting. So the initial thing I wanted to make was obviously the fence that sort of divides the two jousters. And obviously they sort of run along either side, well, ready to knock each other off basically. So yeah, so I'm using some balsa wood. Again, I've got lots of materials that I've brought years ago and never really used that much. And this balsa wood is awesome because obviously it's easy to cut. So I think anything that's easy to cut is a winner in my books. So yeah, just want to mark out sort of equal distances between obviously the upright bits. And then using the good old Gorilla Glue, because I can't use this for everything, even though obviously wood glue probably would be better here. Yeah, I've just got loads of Gorilla Glue, so it's almost my go-to glue, just because I know it's going to stick everything to everything in about 15-20 minutes. And then for the top sort of banister bit, I'm using some lollipop sticks, as these are obviously, well, they're sort of perfect size for what I need, so that's pretty handy. And yeah, just going to trim off the round ends on one side, but I'm going to leave the round end on the other side, as obviously that looks like a nice sort of finish, well, finish to sort of the railing. So obviously I'm going to have the king obviously watching the jousters, but as he's going to be behind the horses, I wanted to have him on a raised sort of platform, just so obviously, well, for starters he's the king, so he needs to be raised up, and it just makes it easier to obviously see him in the sort of the final shots. So a nice little simple diorama this really. I've kind of wanted to do a jousting sort of scene for some time. I may sort of add to this eventually and make more of obviously the tents that the knights sort of change in. So this may well be a diorama that kind of well, gets bigger and bigger as time goes on, which would be pretty cool. So yeah, obviously the king needs a couple of guards and they're going to go right beside him. And then just want to make a little sort of cross frame for this thing. And again, just using some little sort of toothpick sticks. Again, I've got a big bag of, well, I don't know, I mean, these 1,000, 10,000, who knows. But certainly a shed load that I've kind of not really used over the last year and a bit. So yeah, I should really start making more things out of this sort of wood that I've got lying around. So yeah, it's a simple little design, but should look quite effective once it's all painted. So I can't make a diorama without using my favourite stuff, and that's this good old grout. As obviously this is always perfect for making any kind of like textured flooring. Or even like the sides of caverns, or just for joining sort of certain things together. It just works really well. So obviously I am going to use some flocking for this, but obviously where the horses are running up and down, they would have worn obviously all the grass away, and it would just be sort of like bare mud, dirt, or whatever's underneath. So that's why I'm going to use this, but obviously as you'll see I'm only actually putting it in the areas that I am going to leave uncovered, just because it's not worth putting it everywhere, because obviously it's going to get flocking over the top of it, and yeah, you're not going to see it. But for this bit you are, so obviously trying to make it nice and rough and ready. And about 15-20 minutes later it's starting to dry, and it's dry enough that I can do other bits and pieces. And the other good thing about the balsa wood being so soft, it is easy to put sort of scratch marks in it, just to make the wood look more, well, grainier, woodier. Yeah, you know what I mean, guys, whatever the right term is, it looks more like wood. So yeah, so rather than sort of painting this with a primer, I'm going to have a go at making obviously a bit of a primer myself, a bit of paint, bit of PVA glue, mix it up, just obviously coat the thing so it's ready for painting afterwards. I put some water in, but as you can see, yeah, donut made a right old mess of this, and it's far too watery. So I got rid of loads of the water and then put loads more PVA in, and this made it obviously much better. But yeah, hey yo, sometimes we live and learn, and sometimes, well, we make lots of mistakes, and then hopefully we correct them. Although it's still kind of watery, so I think I actually went over it and gave it a couple of coats of this. I probably could have had no water in there and just PVA. But there were a few areas where the super glue was there, and the PVA mix that I made wouldn't go over it, and that's why I used the primer from Army Painter, which obviously works really well. But I kind of did a very light spray, which is cool, so it's got a bit of a mixture of obviously that colour and the brown from underneath. So with the flocking, I have got one of those static flocking tools, but to be honest, I don't find it makes a whole lot of difference, or not for the kind of grass that I used to use. Obviously if you've got like longer grass, then yeah, using the static thing would obviously look better, because it'll make the grass stand on end. But I think the grass I've got is quite very fine and sort of short. But what I have got, obviously I've got a little box of flocking in there, but as you can see there's about 3 or 4 different types of grass, as in shades of the colour, and there's also some very small stones in there as well. And I find the combination of all of them just give a real nice, pleasing, sort of natural kind of look. So obviously I'm going to have some grass underneath where the railing is, just because again I only don't want grass where the horses will obviously be treading and galloping up and down. So yeah, a little bit of grass underneath, and yeah, again, say nice and simple but effective. I do love using the grass on dioramas, especially say the mixture that I've made up. It yeah, just looks nice and natural. So I'm going to have this obviously this little stage bit glued, but the actual figures themselves I'm not going to glue into the diorama, mainly because I want to use those in obviously any sort of D&D campaigns. So as you'll see, once they are painted, they go on little clear discs. So yeah, talking of the figures, they are all primed in white, because I'm going to use some speed paints, which is obviously why I want them to be sort of white primer. I haven't got any black spray yet, which is why I've not done the old black and then sort of white from above. But I will do that eventually when I do obviously get around to being able to afford to get some black primer. And then yeah, obviously the good thing about doing them all together, they're the old batch sort of painting. So I'm going to start with silver, because that's like one of the main colours that's basically on all of them. So yeah, go over the whole things and obviously paint silver. So yeah, obviously guys, if you want any sort of proper painting sort of tutorials, don't watch me, because I am a very basic painter. As you'll see, I basically get the block colours on and then chuck on some washes, and then that's kind of it done. But I like how they come out. I enjoy the painting, so that's why I don't really do any more. Every now and then I try and do sort of like highlights, but I don't like always doing the highlights, because sometimes I feel I might mess it up. And I say I like how they look just in the block colour and then a wash. To me that's good enough, that's them done. And yeah, I'll happily use them for obviously dioramas and obviously D&D campaign games, one-shots and all the rest. But yeah, obviously the speed paints are great, because obviously they obviously kind of contain everything in one, which is nice and easy, makes things simple and yeah, and quick, which is awesome. Don't forget to go and check out the link for the Kickstarter for all these knights and the castle and everything else, guys. As yeah, if you're into the castles and knights as much as me, you'll absolutely love it. And I say there is loads more sort of stuff that they are sort of bringing out to do with obviously the knights and the castles. And yeah, I can't wait to sort of see it all. and eventually get all the files, because I certainly will be building, well, a castle, or certainly part of the castle anyway. Obviously I still don't have a ton of room to sort of make really large sort of things, but yeah, even if I can't manage a full castle, I certainly will make part of the castle. So that's all the figures. Yeah, they've all sort of block painted. I'm happy with how it looks, and yeah, now the good old thing. So I've got a variety of washes, but one of my favourites is this sort of like this light sort of brown one, just because it gives them a bit of a dirty sort of grungy look, and makes them look like they probably would have done in the day, because nothing would look white, because obviously everything's going to get dirty. And yeah, they didn't have washing machines back then, so once dirty, then it'll go down to the sort of stream, give it a bit of a wash, and yeah, but I don't think everything would ever look as white as it did initially. And there we go. So that's them all done. Let's say I could have gone over and done some sort of highlights, but no, I'm happy with these. So there's no need to sort of do any more. And yeah, I will definitely be using these in some D&D campaigns. So yeah, absolutely loving these. So that's them all done, guys. Yeah, let's have a look at some glamour shots. Here we go. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I just want to say a quick shout out and thank you to all my patrons, as well as the sponsors, for helping making it possible for me to sort of keep making these videos, and obviously buying the materials I need to build stuff. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Leave comments down below, hit the like button, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, take care. Bye for now.